Hey guys, this week's podcast features Ed Forster, one of Buffalo's most talented chefs. Ed came down, talked about his new project, The Workshop, and Buffalo's dining scene. Let's get to it.
Are you still riding high off of Thursday evening?
Very much so. I just haven't really caught up on sleep yet.
No?
No, absolutely not.
It was we're going to have a post. So we're recording this on Sunday night. We're going to post this Tuesday in like 2 days. But our post Monday is going to be a review of the event. And
cool.
It was amazing. I mean, there's been a lot of like pop-ups and secret dinners that have been kind of going on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mainly too, like Omakase and the Midnight Mass. But this was like a real pop-up. Like it was kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Like all of a sudden there was food and like deep fryers and like this really had the pop-up essence of like.
It was like 3 weeks of coordination and tapping everyone that I have a phone number for on my contact list. It was like, hey, you mentioned once that you had like a left-footed shoe that I could borrow. I'm going to need that shoe. And luckily every single person was like, sure, take the shoe, I guess. Yeah.
It was just a lot of calling in favors, pretty much.
Like once the event came together, I'm sure people looked around, they're like, oh, you know, like such a cool crowd. You know, like, oh, how do you get Cutler to come? How did he get, like, you know, Projects to do this? How did that happen? How did that happen? It's like, oh, yeah. Like, Lefty, calling in the, what do you call those? Relief pitchers.
The relief.
Calling in from the outfield. Come here, you. It was a great culmination of, like, all of, like, the coolest people that I could tap in Buffalo with little to no notice. And, I mean, just the amount of organizational help I got from friends, because we basically had to erect a kitchen out of nothing. There was no running water. There's no electricity. We literally put coolers of potable water out with Method hand soap next to it and paper towels, and it was like, good luck. Like, we had one for kitchen folk that was like behind the scenes and one out front. Yeah. And I was like, that's what you got.
Jesus Christ. Like, when we showed up, like we saw like the setup and everything, and I was like, holy shit, like how is this going to happen? But it was amazing because after that like initial like scene where we were and everything, yeah, if you could.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Like after all that, like it didn't even seem like that was a factor. Like you guys really seemed to pull off the space. Like, was there any practice at that space or?
No, I did go to pretty much every Silo Fleas. I went to every event that I could go to kind of scope out the space.
like incognito, just like taking pictures of like
the black market guys are like telling the site manager like, oh, you know, like Ed was here yesterday, and you know Jim's like, who's Ed? Like then Swanee Jim was like
yeah,
but talking about like the event and stuff like that. So that was really cool. But no, just scoping it out and literally figuring out how to like make sure that, you know, it's flawless as far as a guest perspective. Like, it's a party for a bunch of friends, and everybody's cool, and everybody's like kind of surprised, but still, it needs to go off.
Yeah,
as if it's a goddamn professional event. You know, it's not.
Well, I think that was like probably the best part is that it never felt like, oh, this is our friend Ed. He's just throwing a little picnic.
Yeah. Well, when we were first brewing the idea, it was like, you know, I was passing around this article that was, you know, given to me about this pop up in New York City. It was basically like a small speakeasy cocktail thing. It looked awesome.
Yeah.
And then so we started brewing on that idea, and I was like, has to be at Silo City. This is in the beginning of summer.
Okay.
So
this is a long.
It's like while I'm still cooking at Mike A's 6 days a week, like, you know, talking about it, thinking about it, dreaming about it, you know. And then finally, like, I was at Silo Fleas, and I'm, you know, sitting there, and we're talking, friend of mine and I, and it's like, all right, this has to fucking happen. And we both were just sitting there, and it's like, can we do it in 2 weeks? I'm like, all right, that's a little ambitious. You know, you got to get, literally, we had to get generators, deep fryers, get a menu, get invites. We had zero invite list. Like, we didn't have anyone's email. So I had to figure out how to invite people, how to get people to respond and say that they wanted to come and everything else. So it's like, all right, 3 we're And so we shook hands that day, said 3 weeks, and it was just like, no turning back. Wow. This is going to be a party, a dinner party. And we're like, oh yeah, it'll be 40 people. 40 people, that'll be intense, that'll be enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking 60 people later.
It was 60 people there?
Yeah,
Jeez.
It was 59 or 58. I don't know.
Jesus.
So we basically made food for 80, and it was just like this ridiculously intense like scramble. Because I mean, I had two friends that we tapped to do, you know, some food stuff. We had two friends to do some drinks, and two friends we tapped to do like reception and intermediary stuff, and it basically became like the two reception people like running around and doing everything. The bar people are like trying to keep up with 60 people's cocktails, and like Scott and the kitchen guys are just So
yeah. But I think like a lot of people saw the workshop pop up a couple months ago. I know I had like a handful of people texting me being like, "Oh, what's Ed doing?" like this has kind of been in your head for a little bit, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, when I was still living in Rochester, which is well over 2 years ago, I was sitting at C-Bar talking to Mike about trying to open up a restaurant. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, for lack of better words, he was like a father figure. Just whatever questions I had just opened up. I'm sitting there with like a little, like lawyer notebook, like scribbling everything down about like LLCs and all these great ideas, and then he's like, talking through, different things that he thinks is a good idea and stuff. Yeah. And then so we had this talk, and then a couple of weeks later we had another talk, and a week later we had another talk, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I need you to come down," and that's that's how we ended up doing Mike A.
Yeah.
So it started as me wanting to do the workshop and me having a business plan for that, and me developing that idea and trying to figure out how to make that all work.
Was it always called the workshop? Is that something you've had like in your head for a while?
Well, I always loved the workshop idea. So the workshop in French is l'atelier.
Okay.
So I always loved that concept, and I've seen different restaurants, the L'Ateliers, Robuchon, Atelier Cren in San Francisco. Different people just trying to. I like the idea of a workshop because nothing really stays on your desk that long. If you're building, I don't know, if you're 4 and you're building a bird's house, it's a week, it's a finite time, and then it's gone. Or you're fixing. I'm not very manly, so you're fixing something that involves wood.
You're fixing, nailing things with steel and stuff.
Man stuff. But then it's gone, and it gets wiped off the desk. So I like that idea, and the evolutionary cuisine thing that I'm trying to pen and to continue very much is up with that. So.
Yeah. So, Quentin Tarantino this. When you were here last time, which was like over a year ago, we really didn't know each other that well. We had only met at that midnight mass thing. It was very briefly. I was like hammered. It was till 5 a.m.
It was a foggy evening.
Yeah, I think both of us vaguely remembered each other. But a lot has happened in like the year and month since then. I mean, when you came down here, Mike A was only open for like maybe a month and a half at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to like ask you a lot about the experience, but like you went from being pretty much a sous chef at Crime Elliott and Blackbird, and then I know you had like a brief stint in Rochester, but like to come here as an executive chef, was that like the role? Like, was that kind of difficult for you, or was it similar enough to what you were doing in Chicago that when you came here, you kind of fell into it easily? I don't know.
Well, I've always been a big fan of the idea that you act like the position that you're trying to be in. So I've been training to be the executive chef, the lead guy for 10 whatever years, but training for it and acting like it is much different than actually being like the guy who's like, the dishwasher didn't show up, and I was like, go grab anyone off the street, I don't care, go get someone. Having to make those calls as opposed to suggesting or trying to make things happen behind the scenes and then bringing it to someone and be like, here's the solution, is a little bit different. But Mike was incredibly supportive.
Yeah,
he was great. So I mean, just the mental thing, but the rewarding part is every day is watching your food and your ideas go to the plate, and being executed the way that you want to do, and training the guys to do things a little bit tighter and a little bit nicer in a way that you look around and it is literally like the cleanest environment, not in the city, but in like for the next 400 kilometers, which I think is less than a mile, but it's metrics and nobody will Google that. But
we're gonna have a chart.
Yeah, good. Just post a link to the conversion of how long a mile is, and then try and make your kitchen cleaner. Then
that'll be totally clicked on a lot of times.
But I would say, looking back at the experience, the thing that I appreciated the most was watching the team kind of grow, and to watch it go from me saying one thing one day, me yelling at someone, why am I saying this, to 2 different people, to all of a sudden the third day, it's just like somebody else is like correctively, like kindly and nicely, and being like, no, this is how we do it here, and this is why, and if you do it again, we might lock you out in the hallway for a little bit with a done set. But
so you didn't like, I guess that role of authority, that was pretty easy for you to fall into?
It was a lot of me staring at people, and then someone else would deal with it. But again, that's all how you set up the system. So if you set it up where everybody knows the standard and everybody knows what's expected of them, and you can get the rest of the team involved in maintaining that standard.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. It's upholding it every day, because if someone isn't doing it, I'm constantly like, I don't even cut onions when I'm looking down any longer. I'm like scoping the room, which is, I don't know, okay for me, but if, you know, somebody's going to cut their finger off doing that at home. But it's just having this constant eye on everything. It's being torn in 500 directions. It's, you know, talking to a 90-year-old man about produce who doesn't know the address and telling him how to use Google Maps. And then you're still just like boggled because you're telling a man how to bring you a $3 case of lettuce. And it's like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, whatever.
This is not where my time should be going.
I'm going to go wash some pots and pans, show the dishwasher how to clean the floor, deal with like this other restaurant that's complaining because their floors are clean. And like, that really happened. They're like, you're cleaning our floors. I was like, everything's fucking dirty by you guys. Go fuck yourselves. Yeah, like these were the conversations. I would just smile and be like,
People are yelling at you for cleaning their floors.
Well, they're like, oh, our floor's all wet. I'm like, yeah, we cleaned it. It was really gross. And then I would just smile. You're welcome. I'm going to go now. Have a pleasant day. You know, like that stuff for me was funny. But every day was a different challenge. And, you know, everybody laments and says, you know, they wear 5,000 hats, and that all happens. But it is a lot of fun. And for me, it made me mentally stronger, which I appreciated.
Did anything like take you by surprise? Like, did any?
The entire staff fucking left in the first like week. That wasn't good.
I'd say that would be a surprise.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it might have been the first 3 months or 8 months. I don't know, but most of them were gone. That was trying, to say the least. Like watching, you know, the opening staff. We did have.
I have to imagine that was pretty handpicked too.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I think we had like 60 applicants for kitchen folk, and we whittled it down to like 7. Wow. I think we needed probably about 5, so we knew that we would have a couple fall off, and we knew that we would have to rehire anyway. So, pardon me for burping in your microphone.
That's all right.
We can edit. No, we won't edit that out.
I'm writing the time down.
Good. Yeah, please don't edit that. But I mean, other than that, the difficult, trying part was constantly having to it's not even trying, it's like the fun part was when I could focus on food, which was like maybe 2.5% of
so when you weren't wearing your like administration hat.
It wasn't talking about someone about payroll or figuring out where, you know, all of this stuff goes or whatever. It was, you know, that was all
figuring
the
out
day-to-day
like
stuff,
specials and things like that.
I mean, when we would do menu additions or specials and stuff like that, that was just like, you know, it wasn't like, let's go in the walk-in and try and sell all the stuff that's rotten. It's like, no, we have this product. Let's do something intentional. Like, we're going to do it right. And, you know, just trifling things like staff meal that nobody views as being important. And I know we spoke about this 60 episodes ago. And it still boggles my mind that people can't cook some rice and some goddamn vegetables and give it to their staff like they're, you know, adults.
Human beings.
And have everybody sit down together, sit like a community, sit together, and hold hands, sing Kumbaya. But it also makes you plan for it in your day and mentally be ready for it. But, you know, things like that. I think even having shown 9 people the importance of staff meal outside of a Thomas Keller book, you know, that everyone's read and everyone says that they love and it's their favorite cookbook. But it's just like, how many people are willing to have them punch out? Like, everybody gets a half-hour break. Have them punch out and then sit there and eat rice.
Yeah.
Or make them pay. You can make people take it out of their paycheck, like 50 cents a week or $5 or $400. I don't care. But the importance of staff meal was something I thought that was
nice
that came out.
Was that something that like you looked forward to every shift? Was like just the staff meal? Or no?
Really depended on what we were having. Our staff meals were always like, I don't want to sound, it's like comfort food.
Okay.
It was awesome comfort food. So we would go and we'd have like braised pork with tomatoes and onions and a whole bunch of root vegetables and stuff like that, and put it on top of soft polenta. And somebody would make like spicy mascarpone. The garde manger person would make a salad, and if we had a pastry person that day, they would make like some brownies. So it's like everybody contributed, and it's like, it sounds like, oh, whoa, that sounds like great home cooked food. And it's like, yes, like our fucking staff meals usually are better than what you're serving. Like, to your family, to your whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you know what? In all fairness, these are trained professionals making this.
Well, I was trying not to say in most restaurants. That's what I looked down.
Okay. Yes, but yeah, I've heard the buttered noodles and things
it's
like that.
Yeah, it's like you see our friend James Roberts on Twitter, which is JDRCEDC or something like that.
Yeah.
Is always putting up pictures of what he's having for dinner, and feeding his guys to educate them and continually kind of grow them and to show them, and all that stuff's so important, and nobody.
And also to be a little bit of a bragger, but that's just the side of the
Humble braggers.
Humble braggers.
Check out the band. Low key promo.
Good job.
Yeah, that's what I'm for.
So, I mean, like the first couple months into the restaurant, I think there was a lot of like critical praise of the place. I mean, I personally said when I wrote about my tasting menu that it was the best meal I'd ever had in Buffalo, and you know what, to some degree, I still like stand by that. Like that was still a fantastic meal in the execution, everything. And then shortly thereafter, we had our podcast. You got your 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
In the Buffalo News. Were you feeling good about getting the critical praise, or was there? I mean, because I know at some point there wasn't the critical praise versus the general public wasn't maybe matching up.
Yeah. I would say like. For someone who's in the kitchen, how you view praise is your dining room being full every night and people clamoring on the doors. But, and don't get me wrong, like the people that have said such nice things were amazing. Like, Buffalo Spree said some great things. Nina Baroni put us in her top 10.
Yeah.
You should check out her top 10 meals.
She had a pretty good top 10.
It's like Lux. She's like eating all over the world. And then she's like, oh yeah, and I ate at Mike A's at number 6. And then she goes right back to like Robuchon. I'm just like.
Robuchon was on
and
the
Ducasse
list.
and all these other Parisian restaurants and like Luxembourg. And
I one day hope to eat as well as Nina and her husband Nick do.
They're very cool people. But like same thing. But for me, the important part isn't like having a 10 out of 10 plate review on a scale of
10,
6 and up or whatever it is. But for me, the important thing is like when I would go in the dining room and somebody I didn't know, somebody who still doesn't even know that I'm the Jeff or whatever it is that, why I'm standing in the dining room in a dishwasher shirt.
Yeah.
Would come up to me and be like, food was amazing. Like blew my mind away. Thank you. You know, like those.
Does that ever get old?
No, that's what I mean. Like if every kitchen in the world, you could knock down the wall and make your guys look at who they're serving and watch them make the food that makes people happy and smile and enjoy their time. I think you'd have a lot less bitter, cranky, stodgy, dirty line cooks.
Is that part of the appeal for like open kitchens, or is that just like a chic, cool thing to have?
I don't know. Mine's going to be open because it's just like, you want to be cranky and angry today? Look out at fucking, like cute little blondie out there being like raving about your gnocchi and how light they are. Yeah, do you know who that is? Yeah, she, writes for fucking the Pittsburgh Gazette. Pittsburgh Gazette might not even be a newspaper. It's hypothetical.
Sounds like
don't tie me to this. But like, I'm so tired of going to different restaurants and talking to different folks that work at restaurants. They all talk about how bitter and cynical and dirty the line cooks are, and it's like, this isn't a battle, dude. This is a battle to make the best food and to make people happy.
Yeah.
Guests first, smiles. So if I can meet people and shake hands and kiss babies that are smiling and eating and loving the food, I'm always proud of that since day one.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, and those people that write about it afterwards still love them too. But I love to shake the hands and kiss the babies. So if you can bring a baby and tell me about it, and then go right.
So I'm gonna have to bring babies to my restaurants I review.
Yeah, bring Marty, or the new one. What's the new one's name?
Penny.
Kibbles? Penny.
Noodles. Yes. Yeah. Marty and Noodles. I mean, so did you feel like? Did you get a sense for what Buffalo thought Mike A's was like from the opening? Like
our purveyors were calling it a steakhouse.
Yeah.
I would answer the phone to like take reservations, and they're like, "Oh, is this Mike A's Steakhouse?" It's like, "Yeah, this is Mike A's Contemporary Fine Dining Restaurant." Like it was never about correcting a guest or saying no, but it's just like it was always like, "Oh, it's the steakhouse." And every review that was negative was like, "You'd think for a steakhouse they'd have more than 16 cuts of beef," and it's like, "God damn it, man! God damn it!"
Like, was that hard to overcome? Or
I still think everybody thinks it's steakhouse. So apparently, it was an impenetrable wall of steak.
It was. I mean, I think the fact that there was like a Kobe beef steak.
It's true. It was a cut of beef.
Everything else that was on the menu, like they have, Kobe beef for like $90, so it's a steakhouse.
And that's so the funny part for me is we would have entrees from like $24 up to like mid-30s. Some things, because they were super chingon stuff, like price point stuff, had to be a little bit more expensive. But the main part of our entrees were like, $28 to $40, and people were like, "It's the most expensive restaurant in Buffalo." I'd be like, "Dude, you can't even get a baked potato down the street for that." Like, get off me.
Yeah.
And first of all, do your research, spell things right when you blog, and like, if you're gonna quote the menu, and you mix 7 dishes together in your description and then complain about it, it's like,
I mean, that has to be kind of frustrating because you don't want to be the guy who's the chef on Yelp who's like cursing out people.
I went after a couple of people on Twitter. Fucking some guy. I forget his name now. That's how little importance he is to me.
But like you gotta. I feel like there has to be that fine line where you don't want to be the guy who like.
Oh no! Yeah.
As a headline on Eater because you like lost your shit.
I mean, but it's tough when you take so much pride and love in what you do, and not everybody's gonna get it. Not everybody's gonna like whatever, but. When everybody's picking apart things and getting it wrong and saying that they're making up facts or fucking up facts, then just like, you know what, man, like whatever. Like there's been some public sightings of like the chef going after like the guest, and like Mike did that, and there was a big thing. There was a guy in San Francisco. There was like, Graham Elliott's done it. There was a Yelp review written about a restaurant that hadn't even opened yet, giving it 0 stars. And these things are all funny, but when you're talking about somebody's money, like if I go to where you work, piss on everything that you do and don't even know what you do and have no idea where it is that you are and do it all under this blind token of a random Yelp review, it's like I'm gonna find you and like bring a bag of oranges so that you can have vitamin C when I'm done
there you go.
Being very upset with you.
That's very nice of you. I mean, you came from a city like Chicago where having a certain menu and price point isn't that ambitious. It's kind of more par for the course.
Mm-hmm. Much more widely accepted.
Yeah. At any point in that year when you were cooking at Mike A's, did you question if Buffalo was ready for that?
Somebody has. I mean, the price point was already here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even the price point, but like
the style
I think your style was pretty progressive, and I think it really wasn't being duplicated.
I think somebody has to lay the foundation of the house.
Yeah.
I laid it as strongly as we could. There were many other people doing progressive food. They just weren't doing everything in that style, and it wasn't on such a grand scale and such a well-lauded dining room and all that.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Mike A on the restaurant name, you have it in the Hotel Lafayette.
When the New York Times is saying stuff, when the Boston Globe is saying things, when USA Today... Yeah, when Regina Chambling, Ivy Knight from Toronto. Yeah. When all of these people are singing its praises, it's kind of separated things to where it needed to be a certain thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, was there any point in your time there where you were skeptical or questioned it?
I love the food and I had a great time.
No. I mean Buffalo. I questioned that you should have.
There were times where I wondered whether or not the city was ready for it, but I knew that it kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
So the people that were there and the people that were into it were super into it.
Yeah.
We needed to do more education, and we needed a little bit more, a little less stuffy, more approachable. Like, we needed guys in rolled up sleeves and tattoos being like, "It's fucking veal, dude. No big deal. It's our modern take on it.
Yeah.
Why don't you eat that shit and let me know what you think, son? Like get grimy on it." But
yeah.
I think it had to happen, and I think Mike was awesome in kind of allowing that to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, when you came here, you pretty much kind of conveyed the fact that like he was pretty much open to doing whatever you wanted to try.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I think something that Buffalo needed and maybe still does. I mean, the only reason I'm saying this is because obviously, like, you've moved on past it, and the restaurant has changed. It's not exactly what it was when you were there. I mean, the menu seems to have lowered its price points a little bit, and there's maybe different offerings that aren't as...
it's the same cocktails. It's the same.
Yeah, I mean, the bar
is
still fantastic. Like Tony and
I think
Staff are doing
I'm not
job.
really sure. I haven't really, I'm still hanging out and talking with the guys there, but I haven't really talked to him much about. I know that the price point got lower.
Yeah.
In the way that the menu's written or depicted, it seems like it's more approachable. I think they're still trying to do kind of fun food.
Yeah.
And I think it's still way better than most.
Oh
of the
God,
restaurants.
yeah. I don't mean to,
No.
I just think I think a lot of people, I don't think it's the same restaurant.
Mike definitely was trying, I think, to change the idea and the ethos, well, at least the perception of the restaurant. So.
Yeah. I mean, which is a bummer, but I mean, whatever has to happen, I guess has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's immensely successful, and from what I understand, this Workshop Buffalo thing that keeps getting, plumped up all over town is going to be kind of fun.
So let's talk about the Workshop then, because you, I feel like you have a pretty much you've locked down a spot on Buffalo.com's website. You had an article on there a couple weeks ago with an interview with Nick Mendola.
Yep.
And then Ben Sugimoto wrote a really nice piece about his experience at the Workshop. It seems like that there's been some pretty good praise. I mean, I know the page itself is over 250 likes, and that's without really any. That's like pretty much like grassroots. Like it really was like people telling other people and things like that. Like it seems like people are pretty pumped about what you're doing next.
I think it's been I can't say thank you to enough people about how many people have said nice things about myself and what I'm doing and where I'm headed with the press coverage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean the Facebook page I put up without saying a word, didn't even put any info on it, like. I had like 2 likes one day and I was like, God damn it. Like this thing was supposed to be underground until like I got something going, and then all of a sudden I'm fielding questions and getting all these emails. But,
I personally tried to like restrain myself. Like I remember when I saw it like come up, I don't know who liked it that I saw it pop up.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm just not going to say
it. It didn't even cross my mind that someone would like it. And then it would go on their Facebook and then this chain link of events.
Like, Krista Galicinchu likes the Workshop Buffalo.
But I mean, right now it's really evolving to a much larger thing. So we did this like pop-up dinner that you were at, tapped all my friends, did it real big.
Yeah.
And then the next one is going to be.
You don't have to give away what you don't want to give away.
Oh no, it's out there. It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it's going to be a real deal Holyfield like pop-up on Elmwood.
Okay.
But it. As opposed to the $45 8-course, 2 cocktails, 3 beers.
By the way, greatest deal ever.
Right? No. Greatest money loser ever, by the way. $45? He can't even do that for $60. Yeah, you're right. Try $65, asshole. It's kind of like a not-for-profit, that lost profit donation. Whatever. It was an awesome event. It was a great first event.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the next one's going to be like a $10 price point where it's like, if you come, you get 1 plate of food, you get amused when you order, and then, you eat that while I make, your next thing. You get that, and then you stand in the street and try not to look homeless. But from what I understand, if it's on Elmwood, I don't think you're allowed to camp out in front of the location more than 12 hours beforehand.
Oh, that's a shame. That was...
Yeah, if it's going to be at 6 p.m.
chairs and everything.
Yeah, I know people were at Target already buying camouflage tents to blend into the red brick on Elmwood.
Just getting sleeping bags and all that type of stuff?
No, that's actually just me sleeping on the streets because I'm homeless. Yeah, I saw somebody write that somewhere, I think.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I just...
That would be great, though. I wish there was like some type of gossipy restaurant industry website. Like that.
You mean like an Eater? The thing that I pegged... I think Kevin Purdy was going to get tapped to do like an Eater Buffalo connection thing, and I reached out to a couple people, but stuff like that, like, would have... brought us some good press, and Eater National and Eater Charleston, Eater Louisville, Eater other cities that I don't know where they're on a map because I'm geographically not very strong.
That's all right.
But if we can get one of those, I think it'd be fun to promote, all the awesome things going on around town so that when I walk into or when I drive down Sheridan, I don't see 600 cars parked outside of an Olive Garden, and it's like a little part of everyone who loves what they do. Just that little part dies, and it's like, oh well, they're all you can eat pasta and breadsticks. Shit is like $12. It's like, great, go get a sandwich. Go eat Nettie's fried chicken. I don't even know how much it is, but it's still
pretty
like,
cheap.
Yeah,
it's like $6.
Ridiculous. It's on Main Street. God, it's
like when you've been in back in Buffalo for what, like 2 years now?
I think so,
give or take.
Yeah, feels like
it. Have you personally seen firsthand like a change in the scene? I mean, because you were away for a while. I mean, you were gone for a couple of years, like 5 years or something.
Oh, definitely. Wow. When I was here, when I was 21, the food scene was coming along, and it was very cool. and it was getting to be like fine dining.
Yeah.
Now I think people are very much into trends and like following things that should be done on a national level. We're not this city that's 7 years behind.
Yeah.
Me doing a pop-up dinner is like 14 years behind. So what? Like write your congressman.
Yeah.
Shut up. But like, you have Gedra at Europa or, and his new spot, and you have Bruce at Tabri, all making, their own stuff and doing it with like heritage breed pork from Rich Tillieu. And we have a huge farmer connection among like, these stalwarts, these guys that are championing great food.
Yeah.
So those things are really important. So
was it those types of things that were like making you feel better about coming back to Buffalo?
Like even like 3 years probably before, well, like 2 years into my Chicago thing, like 5 years ago, I was seeing like Bruce was doing a pig butchering workshop, and I was like, that's open to the public. All right. Like what are the actual hardcore cooking dudes doing? Like that's kind of badass.
Were you still following like what was going on in Buffalo while you were away?
I think I don't even know how I saw it.
Or were you getting like cute things from your parents? Like, do you see what's going on?
My mom's just sending my resume to area restaurants. I'm like, Mom, stop it. No, she never did that. Luckily. It's because I would never let her see my resume or tell her I worked until she got there. She's like, I'm at an address. I'm like, you're 3 houses away. Go south. But yeah,
but that kind of stuff made you feel better about coming back here.
Yeah, and like the fine dining scene, the wine scene, the cocktail scene has gotten much larger.
We have one.
It's small. It's coming.
It's small.
Yeah,
but we actually have several places.
You do, yes, I do as well.
A couple to several.
Yeah, there are so many places that I would go to eat right now on every little price point.
Is that something you couldn't have said a couple years ago?
No, when I was 21, I was very young and trying to learn.
Yeah.
So my friend Mark Marcus and I would go to a restaurant every Thursday night. So I would go to school at Niagara University from like 8 in the morning till 5 at night. Off Tuesday, well, I would go to school Tuesdays and Thursdays, work at Oliver's 5 days a week. And on Thursday nights, we would pick a restaurant. So it's like Toro, Nectar, like other restaurants back in that day. Yeah. Remember when Toro was a restaurant?
Oh, you were working at Oliver's, so you would.
Yeah,
Toro and Nectar.
Remember when that was a restaurant? But we would go there.
They are when they're not having club nights.
Oh, okay. I thought they were just. I guess
That's just where everyone has gone from Chippewa.
Okay, so got it. But yeah, like even Adam, when he was doing Sample, I kept my friend Tom Jablonski, who does Lockhouse Spirits, was like, this is the best restaurant ever. It's so good for Buffalo. And so I started paying attention to what he was doing. I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like vaguely tapas style, but American style food and like small bites. Try the whole menu. Went there and did a tasting menu for like, $30 or something like that.
It was ridiculous.
Fuck? Yeah. Like stuff like that was great. And then I came back and I was like, Jesus, like the city's, coming along.
That's awesome.
And I forget, I've seen restaurants here that have tasting menus now available. Mm-hmm. Like I think Tempo, if you call like 2 weeks in advance, I think you need advance notice, but you can do one at Tempo, and I've seen it on a couple other restaurants.
Yeah, there's definitely. I know like Bruce is messed with it. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of like you have to call ahead and ask for it. But yeah, that definitely. Even Steve, he has like the pig head dinner and stuff, which is not really a tasting menu, but he'll make.
Hey, you taste every part of something.
He'll make 8 courses out of that pig's head. But no, that's definitely that doesn't scare people away as much as anymore. No. It seems like people are willing to make a night out of it or something like that, as opposed to people just like, oh, we're gonna eat for like under $30. Yeah.
I've been exploring price points all over the city. You know what I mean? It's like you can go to Sun and have their Burmese black rice menu. I can go to my Uncle Jim's pizza shop in Riverside, which might be a pop-up location. I don't know.
I'm going to need to have that hookup.
Fucking great. So he does these pizza rolls. Like, how I'm championing pizza rolls for the rest of my life? I basically survive on coffee and pizza rolls at this time of my life. So he actually takes like pizza dough and puts sauce, cheese, pepperoni, whatever, and rolls it up, brushes it with olive oil, and then dusts it with Parmesan.
Yeah.
And then bakes them. So they're like these actual little calzone things, but they're like, I don't know, depends on how big your fingers are, but like 3 finger size. So it's like a pizza roll that's like way better. So I go there and it's like, they're 10 for like $10 they're like 10 for $10 or something. It's ridiculous. But
your love of pizza rolls is second to none.
It's indoctrinated. It's because my uncle had this pizza shop since I was born.
Are you like the Budweiser family where they put a drop of Budweiser beer? Where you just give it a hot pizza roll as soon as you're
just
born?
Rubs the cheese over my lips. Just the hot Parmesan
From
over top.
From birth, I was meant to love pizza rolls.
Exactly. But it's like, you can go there and you can have 10 of those for $10, and that's enough for like 3 people for a meal.
Yeah.
Literally for like a meal.
Yeah.
Or you can go to some shithole Carrabba's. I'm sorry, I can't say Carrabba's a shithole. I've never been there.
I haven't either, but I'm going to
like
say right now it's a shithole.
A bulk national chain, and it's like I'm seeing all these restaurants that are struggling and not doing that well around town.
Yeah.
And it's like the independent, small restaurant, small business owner that have, when everybody says your prices are too high, they're, your whatever isn't nice enough. And it's
your portion sizes are not that big.
Yep. And it's like, all right, Home Skillet, like I got, 30 people in a 50-seat dining room and I have these bills to pay and I run on 0.4% profit, which means that if I can pay everybody and I can eat, this is what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
Like it's people don't get it. And every time you support terrorism and like go to a fucking chain restaurant, and it's like, oh, it's 2 for $1 and it's $12 for a steak. And it's like, that isn't food. Like there's holes in that piece of meat for a reason. Like you shouldn't be able to look through it like it's a keyhole. That's not called steak. But
Ed, keep it real. I love this. I mean, but does that like discourage you from? So, I mean, ideally, the workshop right now is going to be whatever it is. It's going to be dinners. It's going to be you doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think eventually your goal is probably an actual brick in.
Yeah. The idea of the pop-up dinners right now is to showcase and play and have fun and show people that food doesn't have to be so serious, stoic, and it doesn't have to be the same every time.
Yeah. I
don't need to do pork with linguine and clams and sea beans every single day for 3 years. If we do the 8-course dinner, like I said, and then we do something on, off the street, and then the next week we do a soup kitchen thing where you literally like grab a bowl of soup and you're sitting there shivering and you're, it's like, oh, I'm cold. It's like, here's some soup. It'll be $3, please. And then the next day we do a 12-course, 24 plate thing, and then the week after we do Ed Cooks, and I do 16 seats and 5 courses for $65.
It's a great deal.
Is it? It could be. All these things you can do. And again, it's just to showcase that it's evolutionary.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, but when it becomes an actual restaurant, the idea is to translate that into an $8 to $20 price point, have really cool wines, have like a $6, $6 to $10 wine glass list, and have things that are drinkable, that are fun, put it in a cool atmosphere, and make it kind of like guest first, like a party where you want to go to, and it doesn't have to be loud or like techno. That's not the party. The party is like, well,
I'm out.
I mean, I was listening to Basement Jacks on the way here. All right, so you can use that as the intro or the outro, but I mean, the party is the idea that you're having fun. You're losing the cares of the world.
Yeah.
You feel like people are taking care of you, and you're enjoying the company you're with.
Yeah.
And as a chef, I hate saying this, but if I can make amazing food, and when people walk away, they're happiest about the wine, the service, the decor, and they forget everything they have.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That's a win. That means that they'll come back, and I can continue to like show them cool food. And one day, like maybe next time they're like, wow, that, miso cauliflower puree was money. I'm like, it is. Yeah. Thanks for looking up from, your hot girlfriend's eyes for 5 minutes and enjoying my food. But
I mean, does any of the popularity and seeing people run towards horrible food, like, discourage you at all?
Again, it's like laying the groundwork. This is my chosen profession, my path. I can't really, I will not steer off of this. So
can't be an accountant now.
Buffalo's gotta suck it up. They gotta deal with me. I will sink 5 restaurants and change my name to get another bank loan, but you guys are stuck with me, so
I will destroy my personal credit
5 times.
5 times over. So
how many languages can we write the workshop in? Because that's how many restaurants we can do. That's just a series of numbers. Yeah. What is it called when you use numbers?
Binary code?
Yeah, it's binary for the workshop. Thank you, by the way. Wow. You're the only person that I could be like, what's numbers? And you're like, binary.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Good.
How long do you think you can see this pop-up thing going?
I mean, I've looked at a few restaurant spaces already, and I'm continuing to look at them this week, next month.
How's that experience
January. Been? Some it's really, really awesome, but
there isn't any of those where it's like, wow,
well,
that's a lot of fucking money.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's certain restaurants in certain glamorous locations where you just laugh at the guy, but there are places where, you look at it and you're like, wow, this has so much potential. This could be the coolest spot. But then you think to yourself, like, do I have $250,000 to just literally just take a power washer and wash away all the sadness that's already in here and like make it a viable restaurant again?
Yeah.
Because if I did, I'd already have that spot because it was awesome and it would literally be like a game changer for Buffalo.
Yeah.
But, so I'm just going to keep looking at spaces. And if I find somebody that wants to give me $250,000 and do that and knows a contractor or whatever, that's great.
If anyone's listening right now, I have people who are millionaires.
The workshop buffalo@gmail.com.
I don't have millionaire followers.
No, neither. Well, I only have a few, but yeah.
You've kind of, what I think is really awesome is that you've taken an interest in learning different facets of the restaurant world, that you're like super open right now to just figuring out all the other sides of it besides behind the kitchen. I know you've like dabbled in like, the front end and things like that. Like, is that something that you just want to get a grasp of the whole circle?
I feel like in order to be able to lead and direct and see everything, you need to have done everything at least at the level, if not better than they have, or what you're asking them to do. So the experiences that I've had lately have been like designing business cards, contacting people and getting banners made and throwing pop-up parties and thinking of guest experience and, talking to, projects about that projection thing and getting Cutler and giving him direction about music. And you have to view things as a whole package. So in a restaurant, you have front and back, and it should be synonymous. It should be an open wall. Like it should be a team, not this division. But if you don't know how to serve people, how to deal with guests. Like I've been the first one to say it. It's like, God damn it. I could never do what you guys do on a daily basis, even though I'm doing it right now. I could never like people come back and they're like, so-and-so wants this. And I'd be like, the first answer I get is, the first response they get is this horrible, mean, usually sarcastic thing that isn't mean towards them.
I've never seen you say sarcastic thing in my
never.
life.
But that's the first reaction. Then I take a deep breath and it's like, okay, but realistically, like, can we make it happen? We look down, it's like, can we make it happen? Yes. Great. No problem. And it's like, if you want, if you want like cut up apples and goat cheese, and rocks from the street on your plate.
Yeah.
I probably won't do the rocks because it's not sanitary and I don't want to get sued, but that's a bad example. But making people happy, like we said, is paramount. And that's what it's all about. So my pride always takes a second position. You want everybody to love everything that you do, and you want them to love it the way that you want it to be.
Yeah.
But if they don't, win that guest back, and they're going to bring a guest or maybe 3, 5, whatever, an odd number, and they're all going to want to eat, hopefully want to eat your food the way that it's prepared.
Has there been any like revelations as you've been experiencing the front end of the business?
Yeah, it's for me it's always about trying to say the word yes without saying yes.
All right.
It's like the word no never even comes to mind. And it's like, oh, you would like spaghetti squash. Are you looking for a sort of squash to complement this dish? Knowing full well you can't have spaghetti squash. All right, asshole. We have like 2 portions of that dish left. That's all there is. There's no more for a side. I got yelled at last time. It ain't going to happen. But it's like, oh, well, if you're looking for squash, I think we have some summer squash from Dan Oll's farm back there. Maybe that'll work for you. And it isn't about telling people no. It's about finding out what they want. And I can only champion this, with our front of the house friends so much. It's about finding out what it is that they want and trying to make them happy.
Yeah.
Just because they say the word green beans and then you come back to me as a server and it's like, they want green beans. And it's like, where do you see the word green beans on the menu? I don't have green beans in the restaurant. I don't have enough time to run to a supermarket and buy someone green beans. So at the cost of me losing like years off my life and that vein coming out, why are you asking me? Do they want green vegetables? Like there's this, like chef memes thing that's like so funny. Yeah. It's like, whatever.
The one show that was like in the UK where the server comes back and they like their omelet without eggs.
They're like an eggless omelet. Yeah. And he just throws parsley on the plate and he's like, there you go. That's an eggless omelet. But it's like finding out what the guest actually wants. It's oh, he wants an egg white omelet.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always about never saying the word no, and always figuring out a way to make the guest happy.
Yeah.
It's like somebody's asking for ice wine. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we actually don't have any ice wines. What we do have, though, if you like dessert wines, this Sauternes, turns out that's like the king. That's what all wines are made from. Botrytis, king of wines, Semillon, Sauvignon Blanc. You're really gonna enjoy that. You know, and then you bring it to them and you're like, wow, that's really different. It's amazing. I wouldn't even call it ice wine. I'd be like, because it's not. That's a whole different process. I kind of lied to you about that, but we're going to ignore that for now. But it's a dessert wine. And you know, so when you go out to Lynn Oaken Farms or Leonard Oaks and you actually see their grapes freeze and pluck them off the vines, that's ice wine.
Yeah, yeah.
But when they look gross and shriveled and like there's a fungus on them, that's...
Have you gotten like a small version of that satisfaction of like pointing people in the right direction to eat as you would as preparing the food that they enjoy?
I mean, I get a lot of credit and like stuff. I just sell all the menu editions, it's just like if we have great local farmers here. So it's like if we have, T Meadows pork and Daniel's chicken and, Painted Meadows rabbit and whatever, it's just like steer people towards that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I've been here, twice and I just, the menu's all different. So what should I have? And it's like, this is finite. This is going to be gone by the end of the night that I'm going, so you're going to want to go ahead and get that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the menu editions, especially if you're a regular, if you're new to a restaurant, why is Buffalo love specials so much?
I didn't know that was a Buffalo-centric.
Yeah, you need to have like 18 specials. You need to have like a 34 item menu and then have 18 food specials. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you've never been here before and you're complaining because there's no food menu or there's no specials menu. That was a real compliment. Look it up. Or compliment, detriment, whatever. It was just absurd.
That was a real observation from somebody.
God, I've never even been here before. I've never tasted the food, but I'm pissed that there's nothing in addition to the menu. That somebody worked so hard on crafting this menu and figuring out what should go on that day and what's at the penultimate of its perfection. And I want something whimsical that he just came up with. And there isn't 397 things on it. It's like, sir, you might want to go to a diner. From what I understand, they have pages of options for you. Try the Greek.
I heard, what is it? The Cheesecake Factory. It's a pretty big menu they have there.
I've never seen it. I can imagine they have an entire cheesecake menu, though.
It is. I remember we went once, and it was at least 15 pages.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You need an index for
anything you want, man. Anything you want.
See, indexes and menus I appreciate when it's a wine list. When you're at Oriole in Las Vegas or New York, and it's like someone hands you an iPad, and they're like, good luck with this. We apologize. Don't want it to be ostentatious, so you can give us a grape, a region, a price point. It all narrows it down for you. Oh, somebody's like, there's a guy that's doing like this wine program where it's like, it does all that for you. It's just like they hand you an iPad and it's like, you're like, I want to spend, between $40 and $60 or between 20 or I want to go to Topo and spend $15 and then you just hit that button and then it shows you all the wines, the grapes, and you can keep narrowing it down and then finally you're just like, man, I got to choose from 3 wines on a wine list of 4,000 wines. That was handy. But, I mean, technology in that way is kind of awesome if you can foot the bill for it.
Yeah, that's a lot of iPads you got to buy.
Yeah. Well, at least 3. Or 7. I don't know.
So, I guess we could close this up here. We've been all over. It's been very entertaining.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have the next workshop pretty much already... the idea formed and everything.
Definitely.
That'll become public when it needs to be.
Well, the date will be 2 weeks from... I guess it's like... it's 2 weeks from today, and today is the 22nd. So it's going to be the
sometime
6th.
In October.
Yeah, it's the 6th of October.
Okay.
So it'll happen sometime. It's a first come first serve thing. It isn't something where I need to field 700 emails.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a more affordable, but still in the style and fun kind of expression of the workshop.
Nice. How far ahead have you already planned that kind of stuff? Like, do you already have like event number 3 and 4 already in your head?
I do, but the awesome part about doing more and more things is that more and more people are reaching out and being like, you need to come hang out at my place. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, I saw a little, somebody reached out to you about like pastries and desserts. And I was like,
that was cute too. Well, 2 people now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently,
apparently
nobody thinks I can make pastries. But
I like how that's how you took that.
Yeah. Well, no, that stuff's super complimentary. I'm just like, yes, if you want to do something and I don't have to, that'd be awesome. But I mean, it's been really, really nice getting members of the community to be like, I run this business. If you want to take over, like if you want to craft a menu, we'll buy product.
Yeah.
We'll sell everything. Like if you can just come play for the day.
Yeah.
So, it's like totally street legal because it's like them doing a restaurant, and running their sales.
I might know somebody from the northern area of Western New York who had reached out to me being like, I want him to do it here in my place. And I was like, yeah, hit it up. I don't know.
Are you talking about what's north of here? Canada?
Yes, Canada. Some of my friends from Canada, yes. They were very excited about this. But no, I mean, after seeing like what happened Thursday, I honestly, and I'm not even bullshitting you, I cannot wait to see what the hell you're doing next. Because it like all those bites of food that we had were like really good, and it was super well paced. Like I don't think I was ever like, oh, what's the next fucking dish coming out? Like it was always coming. And then when you started plating the beef as we'll call it, like to watch people like just stop conversations. And like I remember I went over and there's these couple guys. I was like, you're gonna want to get the fuck over here right now. And they were like, what's going on? And then like as I watched their expressions like come near it, they're like just like staring, like, what is that? Like that was like a oh shit.
That's the
moment.
pièce de résistance.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
I think you had like there was so much Instagram traffic in that specific area.
I need to get Instagram. Apparently,
you really do. But no, it was just awesome. Like the whole event was super well executed, and like I said, I can't wait to see what you're gonna do next because the best praise I can say is I went on the tasting menu. It was probably one of the best meals I've ever had. Allie's birthday and my birthday this year, we both went out of our way to have our meals at Mike A's because that was the one place that we wanted to eat again. And so I was bummed when you guys parted ways, but I'm really excited to see what you're gonna do. So
thanks. Best
of luck, and thanks for coming down here. It's a short note.
So now we have to cue the Basement Jacks. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, Basement Jacks is now. Thanks, buddy.